Hey everyone!
Hey.
We are so excited to introduce a new project to you all.
Yeah.
And we will give us 1 second for some people to pop on, but we are going to be sharing about kind of how we decided to do this and our story, a little bit of more of who we are and what we're doing and all that stuff. So it looks like some people are popping on. So hey everyone. We're gonna try to also do some questions afterwards. So I'll be trying to look at my computer, make sure that I catch all of those. But can you talk a little bit about why we decided to do this?
Yeah, so we'll get into a little bit more about what exactly it is, but the last couple months we've done a few Facebook Lives on and off on Megan's page, and the first few of those were more Arbonne related, where we did some taste tests, and when we got some of the new product line, we showed those off, so that was fun. And then a few weeks ago, we participated in a virtual conference that we talked about that had some speakers that you may be familiar with, like Rachel Hollis, Eric Thomas, Ed Milet, and some others that we really enjoyed and really got a lot out of. And so after that was over, we thought, well, let's share with some people like what we learned because it was so valuable. And so we came on and did a live sharing the top 3 of each of what we took away. And we had a lot of fun doing that. We thought people seemed to get something out of it. And so we thought, hey, what else could we potentially do that would bring value to people?
Yeah, and so through some encouragement of our family and different things like that, we decided that we might want to do these on a more regular basis. So let's talk a little bit about our backgrounds. I was raised by, if you don't know this, by 2 wonderful parents who are photographers and have their own business. And so I always had that kind of entrepreneurial spirit about me. I always knew that I wanted to, or that I had the skills to be able to own my own business. And my dad actually had me do an exercise in high school where I had my own little business, basically selling him treats. So to kind of display a lesson about how to own your own business. And my dad would talk to me about things like how to file taxes as you own your own business and things like that. And Matt had a similar experience with his family, that he also was around, people who own their own businesses.
Yeah, I grew up for not the first, 10 years of my life, but afterwards my grandparents owned a business and a lot of our family worked at it, and I grew up working at it through high school and even younger and even a little bit through college. And so there was always that, the talk around the family dinner table of the business and how things were going. And so I think we both kind of grew up in a similar background of people who were resourceful and creative and entrepreneurial, maybe in different ways, but with the same thread running through that.
Yeah, and so that kind of brought us, then we met very young, 16 and 17 was when we started dating. We met even before that. And so once we got married, again, pretty young, 20 and 21, and started our adult lives, we kind of stopped really pursuing entrepreneurial ventures the same way. We kind of put a lot of maybe dreams that we had aside, or didn't allow ourselves to really maybe dream together in the way that we are now. And one thing that kind of, happened was that we were looking for a house in Indiana, and we we had lived there for, maybe 4 years at the time or something like that. And we were in our mid to late 20s, and we had looked for a long time, and we had this one house that we thought was it. And then it fell through, and then we thought maybe this other house would go through, and that didn't go through. And we kind of had this moment where we stepped back and we were like, maybe this isn't what we're supposed to be doing right now. And a few months later, I was sort of more on this personal growth journey. I had started my business with Arbonne, and I was like, hey, we should do this exercise where we write down the things that we really want to do. Like if we don't want to live in Indiana, or if we don't want to, whatever, what do we want to do? We need to get clear on it. And so we actually sat down and started writing out what that was going to look like. And personal development was kind of something that Matt was always into. But I had not always picked up on that the same way. And you can talk more about, your impressions.
Well, I mean, I think even stepping back, I think like you touched on going back through when we got married, I think like a lot of people, you fall into just like your peer group, what they do, or just what needs to be done. You got to start putting food on the table. And so you start, getting a 9-to-5 job or whatever it is that you need to do to make ends meet. And you think, okay, once such and such happens, then I'll pursue my whatever I really want. Or you just fall into a trap really of I can pursue my dreams later or down the road. But once you kind of start, it's very hard to get out of that, because as we all know, the cost of living changes. You get used to a certain standard of living, and then you're sort of caught in the trap or the rat race, if you want to use that terminology. And I think that's what happened to us, really, like Megan referenced. But it is interesting because, like Megan hinted at, when we first met, Megan was very, she was known as the violin girl. It was very one-sided as far as that's what she was going to do. That's what I kind of always figured was her passion and that she would do and pursue as a career, or however she might do that. And she didn't even like reading books really when we met, and up into up into several years into our marriage. And so the past few years have really been a big shift to where she's really changed and really opened herself up to looking for new possibilities, looking at things outside of the violin, and not to say that she doesn't love it and those weren't valuable, but just looking to other things as well has been really awesome to see. And now she's like an avid reader. I still, not as much a physical book, but at least audiobooks. And so that I remember growing up, and my family was always big readers. And I remember my dad always talking about Stephen Covey, and there always being Stephen Covey books and other books on the shelves about personal development. And so I sort of fell into that as well, and have always loved that genre and that field, and really tried to make that a part of my life. Now, the application of those, I think, is where it gets tricky. Like, you can read 1,000 books, but if you're not applying those, then they're not really valuable. So it's been really cool the last few years to where kind of we've coincided, in that way in our relationship, and it's really been something that we've been able to bounce ideas off of each other and really kind of see that part of our relationship grow from the personal development side of things.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been really fun to actually sit down and start to live out some of the principles that we've been reading about. So like this exercise, we actually sat down and we wrote out okay, what do we want? Where do we want to live? Just that's one aspect. That's, you could choose a lot of different things, but start with just writing something down. So we kind of fleshed it all out one night, and we kind of came up with this thing that at least we thought was kind of crazy, but it was well, this is our dream. This is what we want to do. And so it ended up that we wanted to have a home near the beach and a home near the mountains. And when we first started telling people about this, it was a little bit what are you doing? And we started telling our family and stuff. But we got started. We just started doing the things that we wanted to do. We started telling people about it. We started, taking steps toward moving somewhere else. And part of that was narrowing down, what place do you want to be where it's near the beach? You can be in a lot of different places and be near the beach, right? And so we started narrowing things down. We started taking one step at a time. And then now 3+ years later, we are living in a home near the beach. I mean, it's not right down the road. It's not on the beach, but we're about 45 to an hour away from the closest beach. And we have really loved that. And it's been, in a lot of ways, a dream realized. but we are in no way, this is in no way a destination in that sense. We don't feel like we've arrived and everything is perfect. We very much want to show you all that we are still learning, we're still growing, we're still applying these principles that we're learning. And moving into what we're actually doing is we would like to provide a weekly series where we share about different topics and specifically relating to those of you who are looking for a community or a source of support when it comes to, like, you're not living the average life in the sense that you are just kind of living your life along the lines of what everybody else expects you to do, or just kind of autopilot. You really want to, like, go after things. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. We're not trying to put anybody down here. But we are saying, like, this is a different kind of road. It's the road less traveled. And we recognize that. And we want to give people support who want that kind of a life. And we really want to help people to have the courage to pursue the life that they desire. So we're going to be creating a YouTube channel and be posting these live videos. And sometimes we'll do lives, sometimes we won't. Sometimes it'll be pre-recorded. But we want to provide this support system for you all.
Yeah, and I think like one of the things that I've seen and why I think some people don't pursue their goals or dreams, whatever terminology you want to use, is because we see people who write books, we see people who have, Instagram channels, and they've already arrived at their goal. They've already super successful, and we think, well, I can never attain where they are. I mean, look where they are. But they didn't document the process. We don't know how they got from A to Z, and so that's what we want to try to fill in. Is we're not to Z yet, we're not even close to where we want to go yet, but we want to show that process, the ups and the downs, the struggles and the successes, to see, we're just two normal people that aren't any different than anybody else trying to live a successful life. And I think that is an important distinction. A successful life doesn't necessarily mean a life where you make a lot of money. A successful life doesn't necessarily mean where you have you live exactly where you want, or everything is perfect. A successful life is a lot of things. It's health, it's spirituality, it's finances, it's being at peace. I mean, it's a lot of things. And so that's kind of what we want to document and show the process of for us, so that other people can have the courage to do that as well. And if you're from any religious background, you are familiar with that term of the narrow road. And that's kind of what we want to talk about is, if you're pursuing your dreams, if you're doing anything different than your peers or what is expected of you, then it can be lonely at times. And it is, you look around and not a lot of people are on that, and that's okay. That means that you're doing something that's just a little bit outside the norm and something that's a little bit more difficult. And so you want to bring some awareness to that and some support to that.
Absolutely. And, some people might make comments or look at you funny, and it's not necessarily because they are trying to be rude. A lot of the time it's just they don't understand. And so we want to be maybe potentially some people that you have in your back pocket that do understand, that do get it. And I don't know about you guys, but sometimes it's helpful for me to not necessarily hear every success story, but to hear the things like Matt was saying where somebody fell down and it was really hard, it was really difficult, it was really lonely, it was frustrating, your face is bloody and you're dirty and you feel like, what did I do wrong here? And I don't mean literally, obviously figuratively, but you're in the quote arena, as Brene Brown talks about, and really giving somebody, hopefully giving you guys some tools and some strategies for those times when you are feeling knocked down. And because we certainly felt that, and we will, I'm sure, continue to feel that at times. So it's helpful to have some support and a tribe that you can kind of look to, and hopefully other people, if you see that they're watching and commenting and enjoying this, then maybe they can be a part of your tribe as well. So you might be wondering, like, okay, how do we plan to do this? I know we've already got a couple of questions maybe along these lines, but like Matt said, we're wanting to be transparent about the ups and the downs of our journey, not just the glory stories or the highlight reel. We want to really show you behind the scenes, behind the curtain. And next week's episode is actually going to be talking a little bit about our story of, and I touched on it, of moving here, because there were a lot of ups and downs. And there was a huge element of it was faith. And a huge element of it was just do the next right thing. Because it was scary. It was so scary. But we knew that we had this dream and this goal, and the next step was shown as we kept walking the path. And we really expect great things from ourselves, and they say that you're the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. And so we hope that we could be maybe that fifth person, fifth entity that you can look to. And they say, I think Ed Milet, we touched on this a few weeks ago with that conference, but he was talking about how that not only, he kind of takes it one step further, not only are you the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, but you are the average of their expectations. And so, did I say that right?
No, yeah, that's right. I think sometimes we live in a society where everything everybody does is okay, and we give, like, if somebody, tells you their goal and they don't hit it, we all say, oh, that's okay, we understand. Mm-hmm. Well, and maybe in reality, we need to say, hey, you tried, but how can we get it next time? And not just allowing, I don't want to say failure, but allowing us to not meet our goals. Because if we have an environment where we're not holding people accountable and we're not holding ourselves accountable, then we're never going to get to where we want to go. So we expect great things of ourselves. And I think maybe we'll get into more where we've kind of failed those expectations in the past. But we expect great things of ourselves, and we expect to do the things we say we're going to do and reach the goals that we've set out. And we want to be that accountability for you as well, because you may not have that 5 people that expect a lot out of you or are on board with where you're trying to go. And what I found out is if I don't have those 5 people around, then I have to look for virtual people. Like, that's why we invest in those conferences like the Rise Up Conference, because if I don't have a 5th person that's that for me, then I have Eric Thomas, I have Ed Milet, Megan might have Rachel Hollis or other people. Those are stand-ins for the people that we don't have in our actual lives. Now, ideally, we have those people that we can talk to face-to-face and that can have those conversations, but we can have those conversations with you, and we can be that accountability for you that you may not have.
Absolutely. And I mean, I really think that, and I believe that failure is a huge part of the process. But I think a lot of the time we just go, you failed at that, all right, just forget it, move on. And then we carry a lot of shame with us. But instead, encouraging you to fail. But part of that is going further than you've ever gone before, like going for it. And not just saying, oh, this is all I've ever done, and so I can't go any further. But we're saying, hey, there's room here for you to fail, and you're not a failure. It means that there's little failures that lead to the success, and we want you to see that. We want to cheer you on, and so that when you do have a failure, maybe we can be that person or those people that say, hey, we would love to encourage you to look at that failure as preparing you for your success, and what can you do next time to improve on that and get to where you want to go, like Matt was saying. And you look, I love seeing different success stories, and maybe we can even talk about that more, but where people failed over and over and over again, and they kept getting back up, and then their story, that is even a cooler story, because they didn't give up. They didn't say, oh, I failed, and so this is horrible, I'm done, I can't do this anymore. No, they kept getting back up and getting back up. And one of my favorite songs, just the line, I should say, just the line from this song is, you know, I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. And I realize that I'm taking it out of context, but I love that line. I love those lyrics because for me, that's been a motto through my life. And some people look at me, for example, and they go, well, you're this accomplished violinist, like you can do X, Y, Z. But that didn't just come overnight, you know, I sounded bad. Like at the beginning, I didn't sound good. I wasn't the best one. I didn't know how to read music better than everyone else. That didn't happen. It was a lot of hours and years of falling down and getting back up again, and falling down and getting back up again, and not being willing to give up. And so, we know can be a lonely road. We know that this is kind of the abnormality, sort of, you know, it's not like maybe what all your coworkers and your neighbors are going to be doing, or your best friends. And so if you want to live a life, or you want to walk a different path, then we want to be that support for you and help you in any way that we can. So I know we had a few questions. The first one is, do you have any topics that you plan to cover? And of course, I talked about the episode next week, where we're going to be talking more about our story. A couple of other ones are just like some, you know, our top personal development books that we enjoy reading. Why, like, having mentors is important. We think that's a really big part, just like we were talking about the 5 people that are most important. You know, talking about a healthy lifestyle, that's been another really big change for the both of us. And so we're going to be talking more about what that's looked like for each of us, and some suggestions that we have.
And we're certainly, I think too, as this develops, we sat down and we've made some outlines and what we plan to do, but it'll be fluid. And then we're certainly open to suggestions,
Yeah.
or if you have a specific topic that you think will be relevant, then we're certainly open to people's suggestions or questions to develop certain episodes on as well.
Absolutely. So definitely give us your questions, and let us know what you would like to hear about. I know, you know, the cool thing is that we both, I don't know, we both are really open to just learning from you and learning from each other. And it's not about like the set in stone strict thing. It's about, how can we encourage each other? How can we lift each other up? How can we be, you know, a sounding board for you? And so, you know, it's definitely by no means something that, like Matt said, is set in stone and is rigid or anything like that. And we're definitely like, we're walking in faith through this. We don't know what it's all going to look like, and so we would appreciate if you're a praying person to pray for us, because we do want to help people with this, and we don't know all the things about having a YouTube channel and all that stuff. So your prayers and suggestions and help are greatly appreciated. We would love to hear from you about that. Anything else? I know Lauren mentioned some lyrics that I really like as well. I won't give up. No, I won't give up till I reach the end, and then I'll start again. I love that. And I know we did want to bring Zan on the camera at some point. Hopefully we'll do that soon. If you don't know about Zan, he is our Shiba Inu. And if you don't know about Shibas, they're kind of like cats. But they're a dog, and so he's adorable. He looks like a little stuffed animal. He's 10, and he has he's fully grown, but he kind of looks like a puppy, and he's a little bit finicky. He doesn't love to be held all the time, so he might make an appearance here or there. But any other questions? Did you have anything else that you wanted to say?
No, I don't think so. I think we just really want to share. I mean, we're both very into personal development, and we know a lot of people aren't. So I think we can help distill some of those lessons. And if you don't like the term personal development or self-help, just think about growing your happiness, growing your success, because that's why you're trying to develop yourself, is so you're going to be happier and you're going to be more joyful and you're going to be more successful. So I know some people don't like the term personal development or self-help. Then just think about increasing your happiness and increasing your joy, because that's what really it's all about. And that's really what we want to help people do. And again, I do just want to reiterate that this doesn't have to be some big goal or some huge thing. This is about any success, any goal that you have, from wanting to run a 5K to wanting to start your own business, from wanting to improve your confidence, to having a second home. I mean, it could be anything. This isn't about one particular aspect of personal development or goal setting. We want to be very applicable to anything. And we realize that your goals are completely different than ours, and that's great, and that's fine, and that's what makes it fun.
Yes.
And we think that a lot of the principles and things we're going to talk about applies to all spectrums of your goals.
Yeah, we want this to be very inclusive of whatever your goal is. And we know that everybody is in different places in their lives. They, you may want to stretch yourself in a different way than somebody else. And that's great. Yeah, there's room for you here. And we would love for you to participate with us, be a part of this project, and support us in any way that you can. That would be great. And we would love to support you guys. We would love to know what your goals are. In fact, if you want to comment, even if you're watching a replay and you have a goal that you're willing to share, we would love to know what that is. Like, comment and say, okay, I've got this goal of whatever. And we'll be sharing some of our goals as well as a part of this process, because we want to be open and transparent about our journey and what we're doing, because I think that way, you can better cheer somebody on when you know what they're working towards. So anyways, I don't think we have any other questions, but I think we're gonna wrap this up. But we really appreciate you guys popping on tonight, and we're really excited for this project.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.